Uh,
I'll come up with what I'm gonna do on the plane ride.
you marking it down. Oh, I'm trying to plan. Uh, yeah. So yeah. Yeah. I would pitch my. I'll start pitching my story. I guess I'll start off where we start off, and I'll think about like the title, the cover story, the cover like the cover. If I had to think of one, I would probably title this "The Useless Power Ranger." That would probably be the title I would go with. It would be like "Useless Power Ranger." And if I had to think of the cover, I would think of like a the Power Ranger helmets like on a shelf, maybe like small figurines of the Power Rangers or whatever, the red and blue or whatever, and then like below that the shelf is like a drawing of like it's like a sketch of a Power Ranger, but it's like a weird mix of a Power Ranger and Year One Batman, where it's like it seems to have a whole bunch of gadgets and a whole bunch of other stuff on it that's not really traditionally a part of the Power Rangers things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that's would probably be discovered, and the title would be "Useless," the useless Power Ranger. So I guess like to give a little bit of, like before we start popping the story, like one of the things about the Power Rangers that I found very interesting was like how should I say this? So I guess what I'm trying to say, I think what makes the Power Rangers interesting is like how they are this team that does a whole bunch of cool stuff together. But like with a lot of like real life teams, I feel like there's linchpins that keeps things working and working smoothly. Like everyone loves to go see a concert of their favorite artist, but no one cares about the technicians that work like 8 hours to try to get everything for the concert working right. Right. If they didn't do their jobs, the experience of the whole concert would go down. Like people wouldn't like it as much. But they are definitely not the focal point of the whole concert, right? And I think
Yeah.
my classically, like what I've been doing with pretty much all my pitches, is focusing on someone else than the main characters, and that's what my thing leans on. So like you see five Power Rangers people in their suits or whatever, and their suits are like not like the original Power Rangers suits if you think of them. They're like not as like cohesive. They seem like if someone decided to like keep some of the theme of the Power Rangers or whatever, and then made their own suits and made it more personal to them. So you see all four or five of these people, and they are fucked up. Have cuts and bruises, and they're like one of them has their like arm in this like makeshift sling, and they are like kind of in like this hiding spot behind this dumpster, and they're kind of talking to each other, and they're like, there is no way to stop this dude. Like he is impossible. He knows all our moves. He knows how to beat us and stuff like that. And it's sort of this conversation, but sort of an argument where it's they are kind of blaming each other for like not being good enough. So it's like, oh, if you could have just moved this thing, I could have the shot to take this person out or whatever. And all in the background, you're kind of hearing like this like general destruction and mayhem happening while like these Power Rangers are moving through the city. Like people are actively like breaking into stores and stuff like that, and the Power Rangers just are too hurt or just don't care at this time and stuff like that. Like there's this essence of like chaos happening, and these Power Rangers are like talking to each other and arguing. The Red Ranger kind of speaks up and like says like, "Stop it! This is not gonna help anything. We need to find Wayne." And they kind of look at each other. And he's like, "Yo, like Wayne Johnson." He's like, "Yeah, like he was the one that helped us beat him the first time, or helped with that whole situation the first time. He's the one that's gonna have to help us with this time." And they're like, "Okay," and it kind of like flash paddles into a like these Power Rangers breaking into this person's home. Kind of like they knock and stuff, but they kind of break into this person's home. And in the house, they find two things. They find like this first like riddle thing, and it takes them a very quick like it was like it's not a super difficult riddle, but like they they uh they figured out what's this riddle is like leading to. It's like a leading to this location near the docks in this like abandoned warehouse. But like it's kind of scratched out. Like it's kind of like in a weird way like scratched out. Like it seemed like someone placed this here, Then someone else came and scratched out all the stuff that was like important for it or whatever. And then they found this orb, right? And as soon as they see the orb, they're like, they generally know what this thing. It's like something that's like kind of like known in their universe, where it's like this is like a recording device that records total moments, right? So it gives like the user like the way this works is like you have an access code, and what you call it, you enter the access codes, and then it shows you the total picture of like what was happening in this space. So it includes jump cuts too. So to make things easier on me, right? So like it was like this edited, it's like this hyper edited, immersive video, if that makes sense. And they're looking at this thing and they realize like the way the code for this one is just literally all 4 or 5 of these people touching the ball at the same time. So like whoever put this here meant this video for them, and it can only be watched when they're all watching it together. This is when we get kind of into the lore. We have to talk about the lore and stuff about the world or whatever. So in this world, the Power Rangers was kind of started by more of like a, not by like an alien entity or anything like coming down to tell them what to do. It was just kind of like these kids were like at a party, and some like black goo kind of exploded, and it gave a whole bunch of people powers. Kind of, if you are a fan of the original Static Shocks, not the original, but like the TV for kids Static Shocks that used to come on morning TV, like that kind of origin, where it's like everyone's just having a good time, and then something happened, and this ooze gave people powers in this party.
They some bang babies.
Yeah, yeah. And they all got these powers and they sped up, and pretty much the way this kind of worked out was like all these people discovered their powers and started to do like good or bad things. Like some people try to start being heroes, some people are actively being villains or whatever. But like these group of 4 people wanted to be heroes, but they kind of sucked at it. Like they were really bad at being heroes. And the reason that they became the Power Rangers, or the reason that the Power Rangers formed, was because of this guy named Wayne. And Wayne was a kid that was at this party too, but wasn't like, didn't get any of these powers or anything like that. But he saw like these guys have powers and they could really change the city. And so pretty much what this dude effectively did was became their Zordon. And this guy is not like an older person. This guy's like the same age as these guys. And this is all happening in like, high school and stuff like that, right? So he kind of pretty much like effectively becomes their Zordon, and he teaches them, hey, this is how we should probably work. He gives them these their Power Ranger outfits. And another thing about Wayne is he's really into the details. So like he was actively developing stuff to make the Power Rangers better. So like in this world, the Power Rangers powers aren't all the same. There's like all slightly different in certain similar ways. Like some is like slightly more elemental, some is just like, oh, I'm really strong, or I'm fast or whatever. And like Wayne would develop things to make these guys better, or like be able to use their power more effectively. And the long and short of it is like Wayne and their Power Rangers became super effective. They first were just like hometown kind of like superhero, neighborhood superhero, and then eventually started hitting bigger and bigger threats, and like people love them. But for the most part, no one knows who Wayne is. He's like the guy behind the mask or behind the curtain that's helping these 2 heroes do what they do. But as time progressed, these heroes start getting, let's say, like more noticed, and like more opportunities come to them. And the gist of what happens is that like a lot of the superheroes, a lot of these Power Rangers become like government sponsored, and they pretty much leave Wayne in the dust, right? Like they're still technically quote unquote friends with Wayne, but they are like being backed by the military now. They get like military grade hard thing. Some of them are backed by like these billionaire philanthropists, and they like have their own scientists. So like all the work that Wayne used to do kind of got like put on the back end, because they had these other people that are paying them and also giving them even more like cooler gadgets and stuff like that. And Wayne was really trying to keep the group together. and said like, hey, you guys should work as a team. You guys are getting more powerful and stuff like that. And sorry, this is a quick side note I probably want to put at the beginning is the way this goo works in this world is like the longer you have your powers or the longer you're using your powers, the stronger you get. So it's like a muscle, but imagine if a muscle kit had like an unlimited amount of like growth. Like there's no upper limit like genetics or anything to stop you from having the muscle become stronger. So very sand like in a way.
Very what?
Super sand like.
Oh, yeah. It's only as strong as like I guess I'm thinking like when you say that I'm starting to think like Chronicle. Like it goes as far as you choose not to be a dick.
Yeah. So as they use their powers, they immediately get stronger and stronger and stronger. And so pretty much like at least the way I think I described it to you is like this team that used to be like a real team and called like where's the Power Rangers becomes the Justice League, right? Where it's like these guys are so powerful they kind of just handle their stuff by themselves and they maybe come together at some point to handle even bigger problems. But like they're all powerful enough to just handle stuff on their own, so they're not really a team anymore. So this all happens, and pretty much the short of it is Wayne gets shunned out. Like the Power Rangers might visit them maybe once a year or so, or one of them or two of them, but like he's kind of like left in the dust, and all the work and stuff he did gets no credit for it. No one talks about him. Everyone kind of forgot him. And like this story kind of takes place between Power Rangers when they get their power all the way up till their 25s 27s or whatever. So like for a good 3 or 4 years now, the Power Rangers are like there's pretty much superheroes, and Wayne has been this like person in the dust and kind of like a forgotten legacy memory of the group or the beginning of the group that's just like trying to live a normal life. And that's like the backstory of the Power Rangers. And we move on.
Hold on. I just realized, I just made the connection with Wayne. And then you talked about in your first cover, you had him like Batman, so he's like Bruce Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but unfortunately, less cool. But yeah, so
He doesn't have the power of money on his
yeah,
side.
he's just a regular dude that got left behind. And I think that's another thing, right? Like, he got left behind in a way where the Power Rangers didn't help him get wealthy either. He's just a normal dude that kind of helped make something great that no one cares that he helped with. These Power Rangers are pretty like well off and rich now. They definitely don't have to worry about any financial things anymore. But they didn't cut Wayne into any of that, which would like most people would be bitter about. But Wayne is not bitter about it, but it's still like a thing. You know what I'm trying to say? They didn't help this dude at all. They used him and forgot him for real, pretty much. This you get all this like this flashback of the Power Rangers past and stuff like that, and then it forces back to this moment when they're all about to touch this orb, and they all do it. It cuts to the warehouse that was like written on this like paperwork that was like scratched out or whatever, and it's Wayne tied to this chair, and he's like slowly waking up, and he's like, "What's going on?" And this person steps out of the shadow, and he's like, "Wayne, it's been a long time, you motherfucker." And this dude is this villain that the Power Rangers immediately know. It's I'm gonna I'm trying to think of a name for him now. What's a good villain name for someone that uses gravity? Uh,
Newton.
Newton. So yeah,
Newton.
so he goes by Newton, and this dude is just talking a whole bunch of shit, pretty much, right? He's like, this dude is like, yo, you thought you trapped me in this thing, and you guys are dumb. And he's like, I can't wait until I get the Power Rangers here so I can beat their ass for what they did to me. And like, he's saying a whole bunch of stuff that probably doesn't connect to the reader right now, but you pretty much find out that Newton was a henchman. I guess you could say he was a henchman to the big evil boss. So if you think of like Lady Raposa, if you think of the second in command for Lady Raposa, this would what this dude would be at or whatever. And his story is pretty much that he worked for this like big evil villain for a long time that fought against the Power Rangers, and he was kind of this formidable foe that's like this foe that commonly pumps up against the Power Rangers, and he was pretty strong. And he was also another kid that showed up in the like was at the party too. So his powers are based on the same things that these Power Rangers powers are based off of. And pretty much he was like taken in by this big evil person's like ideals, and he followed them. And the gist of it, this big evil villain person, this like Lady Raposa person, really treated him like shit. Like they would always say like his ideas were bad even though they were probably pretty good. They were like he was like actively doing most of the work while like Lady Raposa or like this big evil bad person did absolutely nothing as he got his ass beat pretty much by the Power Rangers. Cut to fight back. uh, um, and pretty much he decides to like he has this like coming of like age moment or coming this turning point moment. He switches sides. He joins the Power Rangers to help him beat the big evil bad person for the last final time. So he switches sides to help him. But like the way that the Red Ranger has told this story was Newton betrayed the Power Rangers at the last moment. Like the big evil dude convinced them to stay on his side at the last moment, and the Power Rangers had to force him into this like MacGuffin with the big evil bad guy. And the MacGuffin thing that they forced him into was a lot like
The Phantom Zone.
yeah, pretty much like a lot like with the Phantom Zone, where it's like you're not dead, but you're not alive really. It's just a pretty much existential terror and existence in this like world or whatever. So he got
I just imagine the DMV.
yeah.
It's like, we banished you to the DMV forever.
No, no, I just wanted to get my license.
Your number will never get called ever.
Yeah. So yeah, so he got banished into this like this the same zone that this big evil bad guy, because he betrayed the Power Rangers at that moment. That's what the Red Ranger says at least. And you know the Red Ranger's version of the story kind of stuck because you know he's the Red Ranger. People believe what he says.
This just reminds me of like when cops plant drugs.
Yeah, yeah, it's totally fine. He's totally right. Whatever, right? So yeah, this villain is here, and he's talking to Wayne, and Newton's talking a lot of because like the other Power Rangers, since time has passed and he has been practicing his power has been getting a lot stronger. So like the Newton they knew like maybe 4 or 5 years ago is legitimately strong now. Like he's way more stronger. And I guess like if I had to put it into the scales like the Power Rangers are now, so if you think of the Power Rangers being more like the Justice League, and like you think of the Red Ranger is probably like Superman, the Blue Ranger is probably like Aquaman or something like that. I would say this Newton character has become Thanos in like a really strong way, where it's like, bro, this dude's power is just ridiculous at this point, in a way. Like, maybe not that strong. Let me actually pull it back. How would I put it? Not Thanos level. What's a good like mid villain?
Not Darkseid. Not Green Goblin. Ooh. Oh, what about like the Kree?
Yeah,
Maybe.
yeah, that would work. Like I would say like the Kree, or maybe like
Doctor Doom.
yeah, like Doctor Doom, the Kree.
Oh, what about Magneto?
Oh, there you go. Yes, that's a perfect one. Like Magneto, where it's like, bro, you don't want to just. He's not like the world-ending threat, but he's definitely a guy you just don't want to just like go hands with, just generally, right? All by yourself.
He might not fuck up the world, but he'll definitely fuck up your
Yeah,
game.
pretty much, right? So he's at like this level, and he's like talking to Wayne, and he's like, "Yo, Wayne, I can't wait until these Power Rangers come here, and when they come here, I'm gonna fuck their day, and then I'm gonna kill you, and then I'm gonna go do the evil shit that I was meant to do." And like Wayne's like sitting there, and he's like listening to this, and he's like, "Bro, they are not gonna come." And Newton's like, yo, what? It's like, bro, these guys are not gonna come and save me. I know you know you might think I'm lying or shit, but like these guys, um, don't remember me. Like they don't give a fuck about me, honestly. Like Newton's like, no man, like you guys were best friends. You guys used to hang out. You guys hang out all the time. There's no way they're not gonna come save you. This is a nice little ploy to make you think that they don't care about you. And he's like, bro, it's been 4 years, and I would have probably seen one of these people like maybe once, right? In like 4 or 5 years, maybe once or twice. And like this dude's kind of like befuddled in a way where he's like, really? Like you were like the guy, like you're the guy that they would go to, and you help them like defeat me like a couple times, and you like they use your inventions and shit. Like what do you mean they're not gonna help you? And he's like, bro, like everything's changed. And kind of Wayne kind of tells them like kind of what happened, where hey, they got stronger, they got sponsored, and they kind of like left them in the box. This Newton dude is like, no way. And he gives it a couple days. So it's like been like 7 days since like the first like this like he's been first kidnapped, and no one has come. Newton's like it's like every day like trying to be like, okay, I'm ready. I'm gonna show him out. Like he has this whole like speech ready and stuff like that. And like every time Wayne's like kind of telling him like, hey, that's not gonna happen, bro. Like you might as well just let me go because they do not give a fuck about me. He's like, no, I left like clues in your house. I've like destroyed part of your neighborhood. Like they're definitely going to figure out that I have you, and they're gonna come and like rescue you or whatever, right? But Wayne is right, and like for the like, at least for the first like 7 days or something, no one comes or whatever. So this becomes more of a conversation between Wayne and Newton. And I guess before this conversation happens, the orb kind of shuts off for a little bit, because the way this orb works is like as soon as someone takes off their hand, the video stops. It like stops until like that hand's put back on there. And once they figure it out, like this whole time relax and stuff like that, the Power Rangers kind of immediately start getting into a scuffle, being like, "Yo, what the fuck happens? How did no one check up on this dude? Like he was our friend, he is our friend, and all this other stuff." And they become in this like little argument about this thing. Oh, and if it hasn't been clear, Newton is the problem that they're dealing with right now. Newton is the one that's currently fucking them up at this point or whatever. And they're like trying to kind of figure out like how long has this been? It's always at least 7 days ago, but like it might be more. It's weird that they have this like conversation where it's like, how could we let like a friend like this, like that was like kind of integral to our beginnings and our business, just end up in a situation like this, and knowing us like none of us like knowing what's going on or whatever. And they just kind of blame each other. But they kind of all calm down, and they like try to like focus on like, hey, either way, we still have to find Wayne because Wayne's our best shot to beat Newton. Let's finish the video, and then we can like figure out how to save Wayne, and then we can stop Newton, and then everything will go good. And like this is a mistake that we can rectify, right? Like we know we shouldn't we shouldn't have forgot our friend, right? That's why they kind of conclude on or whatever. So yeah, the rest of the like comic or video that these guys are watching is conversations that like Newton and Wayne are having, and a lot of the conversations are kind of like, "Hey, didn't you have a relationship with the Pink Ranger?" And like Wayne's like, "Yeah, we used to have a relationship in high school, but like that all that changed and stuff like that." And like Newton's like just pretty much like trying to talk about like each Ranger and how like their relationship kind of fall off, and like Wayne's kind of reliving it, where it's like, yeah, I used to have this relationship with Blue Rangers, like we used to be really good friends, but as soon as he got sponsored by this billionaire, things changed. He tried to come in, I tried to like help him out with stuff, he would refuse my stuff. And I guess if we had to say the next few chapters are just him, Wayne kind of telling Newton or recalling these stories of like how each one of these relationships has broken and don't really exist anymore because of time, money, greed, or like something happened, right? And Newton's they're kind of like bonding in a way. Like Newton and Wayne's kind of bonding in a way because like Wayne has this past of being like underappreciated, and Newton has the same past but just on like a villain side or whatever. And like they talk about the Red Ranger too, and he's like, "Yo, the Red Ranger's kind of an asshole, right?" And he's like, "Yeah, the Red Ranger's kind of an asshole." And like it's like they talk about like how the Red Ranger has screwed like Wayne tells him like how the Red Ranger screwed him over. Pretty much like there was a chance that Wayne was gonna be like dragged along with the rest of the team, but the Red Ranger kind of like cut that opportunity away from Wayne. And the reason he said he did it was because he didn't want a normal friend that's just a regular human being to get hurt or whatever. But the way it came off was just more of like jealousy and envy. Like he just didn't want this person to have this opportunity or whatever. And then Newton tells his story about like what he thinks about the Red Ranger. And his story is like, yo, the Red Ranger kicked me into the Phantom Zone, right? Like I didn't betray anyone. Like I was really thinking about being a part of the Cards, but for some reason this dude was just like, no, once a villain, always a villain, and like Spartan kicked him into this like this MacGuffin right at the end as everything was like happening, and like it was only him and the Red Ranger in the room by himself. Like at the time, no one else knew. So that is like a lot of like the conversations that's happening. As these conversations are happening, Wayne is kind of doing stuff with Newton. Newton's trying to get Wayne to tell him more about the Power Rangers, and Wayne is doing so, but he's not trying to like give Newton all the information that he needs to pretty much destroy the Power Rangers or destroy the Justice League at this moment, right? And it's obvious that Wayne knows how to do this. Like he knows a lot about the Rangers and their powers and how it works. And Newton's been pretty much as this goes on. This is like probably like 2 months in of this kidnapping or whatever, and he's been testing like the response times of the Rangers. Like he's been like looking at like how they handle other villains and stuff like that, and he's like starting to plot. And we're kind of like running the bend of like Wayne's usefulness pretty much, right? Pretty much like it's pretty obvious like the Power Rangers aren't going to notice him or like go to his house and find this thing or whatever, or at least like that original riddle that like Newton planted or whatever. So he he's like kind of being like, hey, I'm gonna go destroy the Power Rangers, but like why don't you become a villain? Like, why don't you join my side, right? Like, obviously, these guys don't give a fuck about you, and they don't give a shit about you, and you were underappreciated. But now you can, like, this is your chance to show them. You can show them, like, the massive mistake they made. And he's like, and I know you know how to beat them because, like, just from my conversations with you, you seem like a person that has been thinking about like ways to kill these people. Like you you might have not been like actively thinking about it, but like I think there's like a part of your mind. There's a part of your mind that you were thinking like ways that you would kill these people if you had to think about it, and like it kind of like this kind of flashback to Wayne and like more of his private moments, and like Wayne, it's not like a real like if you think of like the Batman's Doom protocol, which is like the protocol that the Batman's quote unquote uses to like destroy or enable each one of the Justice League members if he had it to. It's not that. It's that, but like if it was like a sketch note, like it's like the beginnings of that, right? It's like Wayne wasn't like fully committed of making this thing, but he definitely had like the ideas to do it, and he has this like you see him like start this sketchbook of like how he would have beat each one of the Power Rangers if he had it to, like in his current state. And I think this is like the same sketchbook that Suit is from the beginning, the title card of this like the series or whatever, right? And so they're having this conversation and it gets heated and he's like yo, just go join my side. Like I will like you could prove to him that you're strong and like they will regret their decision. Wayne like kind of like comes to a head and Wayne's kind of like saying like he says pretty much says like, hey, I know these guys are not assholes. Like there's no ways around these guys, but like I really believed in them. Like I really believed in the Power Rangers. Like I believed in what they stood for. I believed their thing. And yes, they're not perfect now, but like at least some of their values are the same or whatever. And I want, even though I know they're not going to come save me, like, and I wish, like, I still wish they would, and I still believe in like that type of Power Rangers, like the Power Rangers that come together to stop like bad people and stop bad things from happening to like normal people like me. And I can't go against that. Like I can't I really dislike these people in a certain way, and like I'm really bitter to some of them, but like I still believe in the idea of the Power Rangers in a way. Pretty much, man, like it's amazing how the most useless Power Rangers was like the most effective. And that's like the last thing he says to this dude, and like puts his hand on his shoulder, and then he crushes his heart using his gravity powers. Oh, I forgot to tell you, yeah, Newton has gravity powers. If I haven't made that clear, and that's the where Wayne dies, and as this video's ending, pretty much says like you see Newton kind of open up this book, that this sketchbook that Wayne was starting to make or whatever, and he kind of says like, "Well, I'm ready to kill the Power Rangers. I hope you guys are ready." And then that's where the video ends. And throughout this whole time this video is happening, like there's short breaks where like the Power Rangers are kind of discussing. I say discussion, but they're pretty much just arguing about like whose fault this was, and they obviously get really upset when like they figure out that like the Red Rangers kind of screwed over Wayne out of his opportunity, and also kicked this person that was pretty much a good guy, was turning into a good guy, into the pit, making him into this incredible power problem now. You know what I'm trying to say?
Mm.
And like that's like the end of the story from my perspective, for at least that's all I thought about. The Power Rangers kind of like, I guess if it was the last panel or the last page or whatever, would be just like the Power Rangers, like hearing like pretty much Wayne still believed in them, even though they were kind of completely all to him, and they're just kind of being like kind of saying like, "Fuck, I don't know what to do," and they're just sitting around this table with this orb, not really arguing anymore, just kind of like letting everything sink in.
Okay. My question is, what genre do you think this is going to be in, or what medium would you put this in?
Jeez, I feel like it could be. I feel like it could be a comic book that's like maybe one or two issues, a semi one shot. I don't think it has enough likes to be like a TV show or an anime or anything like that. Maybe a movie if you have someone that's good at like conveying the short story or whatever. But like, yeah, I think it would probably work as like a one or two, at max three issue series. I don't have any thoughts about continuing it, but I think that's where like the story ends.
Would you ever watch this show as a TV show, like as like a DC Comics animated series?
I would. I think it just doesn't have a. I think at least the part that I'm focused on could only last for maybe like, I think it can last two episodes if you just do it generally. If you like dive into like why each one of the Power Rangers has like separated from this person, you could probably push maybe like three or four more episodes out of that. And then if you, I guess like if you, I guess you can make a full series. Like if you focus on the Power Rangers like at their current state when they're the Justice League, the bad thing that happens or whatever, that's the first episode, and like them finding this orb. That's the first episode. The second episode is them talking about the orb. You get the initial stuff, and then the next like three episodes is about how each one of the Power Rangers has pretty much forsaken Wayne, and then the last two episodes is like the conclusions of like do they win or do they lose, or so, or you could just end it there, make it a short series, like a short Netflix series, like 10 episodes or so. I mean, like less than 10, probably like 7.
How do you think Newton comes out of the, like? What do you think he learns at the end of the story?
I think I don't know. I guess if you side with Newton, I think it's just like this idea of like, you know, people will use you. Like I think at least when I think of the story, I think of like the quote where it's like if you don't build your dreams, people will use you to build theirs. Kind of like feeling where it's like this dude spent a lot of time building like his big evil person's dreams or whatever, and then he kind of just focuses on his goals, and now he's living his dreams. I guess if he wins, he lives his dreams, but I don't know if he wins or not. I leave that kind of ambiguous. But like I think like Wayne and Newton are like a kind of products of these things where it's like they worked really hard to like put someone else on like a pedestal, but probably not a pedestal. That's right. He worked really hard on someone else's dream, and it really sucks when that same person like screws you over. I know we had like a conversation about this or whatever, and I'm not saying like this is the same vein of like the people I'm gonna say now, but I think of like when artists have this like, oh yeah, you're my producer till the end, guy. You're gonna be my producer forever. You're gonna help me with my mixes forever. And they're like, this is when they were like underground or very like small time, and then they become big time, and that producer that has helped them make like these incredible works at the beginning just gets pretty much axed, and no one thinks about that producer anymore.
Yeah, you don't need a lot of reason to come up with the incredible true story of this.
Yeah. If you get the if you know you know if you get the reference you get the
If you
reference.
if you know, you know.
Um, but yeah, so I think it's like that, and like obviously this one's like a way more extreme version of that. But yeah, I think that's like what Newton comes off where it's like this like idea of like being used is or being like a part of this a system that doesn't really care about him. And I think that's what like the main thing he's trying to convince Wayne, where it's like we are the same, and this is why you should be on my side. And I think Wayne agrees, but like I think Wayne agrees with like I think the difference between him and Wayne is like saying like just because like I volunteered for something doesn't mean like I should be mad with the results of volunteering. Like I guess it's like the very like the same sense of like, you know, you should do good things because they're you want to do good things, not because there's like rewards and good things attached to doing the good thing.
Hmm. At the end of the story, do you see what the Power Rangers' reactions are to being exactly what Newton said they were, just to having them having sold not sold the other guy out, but like they did not care enough about him to take notice of whether or not his life was in danger.
Yeah, I think you do. I think this is like I think the more and more like especially with this argument, I think you it's important to get like this Power Rangers reaction too, because like for them this video maybe be like an hour long, but like this thing has like, you know, been taking this thing like Wayne was a hostage for at least like 3 months by noon. And I think like the very last reaction, which is like the last the ending of the story is like them kind of just in shock. Like I think they just don't know what quite to feel. I think they definitely feel guilty because like this could have been handled in a like if they just remembered their friend, this would have been this wouldn't have been a non-issue. But I think especially like each one of the Power Rangers are like feeling either very bad or sad in a very specific way because the way they ended their relationship with Wayne. And like, you know, a lot of the way that they frame it, I think this is gonna be like a common theme if I had to like if I had more time to write this thing or whatever. A common thing I would say is like a lot of the way that the Rangers frame this like the relationship is like we're still friends. I'm just gonna be like busy. Like we're just friends in a different way. Like we're still cool and stuff like that. But like I think Wayne saw it or like had the reality of like they're never gonna talk to me again, and he was kind of right. They they were saying they was gonna have this cool relationship, but I like when this thing started to happen, Wayne realized that like nah, they're never going to talk to him again, and he was right.
Yeah, man. I think that's a cool
But yeah,
episode.
so that's the useless ranger.
Sounds good, man. Again, I'm gonna find you. Nobody.
What
I'm gonna find because you did it
I
again.
did, I did
I'm like, oh man.
I didn't say it that time. I don't think.
Yeah, you did at the beginning.
Uh,
Look it up.
Play back the tape. I got receipts.
I got receipts.
If you somehow listen to our pitch, let us know what you think. What would you do with the Power Rangers? Do you like our pitches of the Power Rangers? Why do you like the Power Rangers? And is the comic book of Power Rangers good?
I think it is. I'd say check it out.
Yeah. Do you have any more questions or things before we end up, Ed Roscoe?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So, if you made it through this thing, thank you so much for listening. Definitely put in your thoughts or your ideas in the comments, or tell us ways that we can maybe do this better or do it worse. Whatever, whichever way you feel your cosmic compass is pointing today. And yeah, if you like the stuff, like it. If you don't, don't. Anything you want to say, Roscoe?
Is there anything I want to say? Keep it pushing. Everything is Neon Genesis Evangelion. Sorry, I guess.
Are you apologizing for?
I don't know. Everything.
Okay. Well, me and Roscoe,
If you made it to the end of this video, I'm sorry.
me and Roscoe give you our deepest sorry. We don't know what we did, but we're definitely gonna mess up something soon. It's an early apology video.
What we did was unconscionable. It was not cool, and we just want to apologize to all of our fans, not all the people that we wronged. Fuck those people. Specifically our fans, because we need money. We need money, people. Give us money. We don't like it, but at least we're honest. Just kidding.
All right, cool. All right, yeah. Thanks for watching, you guys. And take it easy.